And we're back with some NBA observations right here for you at the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you stopping by. There you go, LA Lakers. Be a part of the fun and the action here on the Lakers Fast Break by going ahead, of course, and hitting that like button, subscribing, and do whatever you can to go ahead and support us right here on Lakers Fast Break as we provide you whatever news and information and opinions we can on the Los Angeles Lakers during this downtime indeed for the next few weeks. So we'll try to get you through. Try to get through best we can. But here today to go ahead after a long absence, wanted to go ahead and discuss the Lakers. He said reached out, said we have to talk about the Lakers. I said sure, why not? It is of course Mark, aka Xbox. Mark, great to have you back on the program.
Thanks so much, Gerald. Yeah, it's been a while, but I've missed you, but we've obviously kept in touch personally, and I'm always in the chat as well. So, it was a little bit hard at the end of last year. I was really over the LeBron cycle. So now that we've come out of that, you might see me a little bit more if that's okay. But yeah, like pretty excited. I know there's a little bit of intrepidation with the Laker fan base with next season, but for me, it's all positive to be honest, and it's all uphill because the handbrake or the ball and chain has gone, and it's hard to say that about LeBron, but at the end of the day, I was completely over it. I was over it for a number of years, to be honest. Never really fitted. Sorry, I sort of mentioned before the show, guys, that I wasn't going to go down a LeBron path. I already have, but
Why
I
not?
just,
Go ahead. By all
yeah, look,
means.
just never felt right. Never felt right with him in a Laker uniform. Don't know, I haven't been a 50-year Laker fan like yourself, Gerald, but I'm a pretty passionate Laker fan for 20 odd years now, and just yeah, having LeBron there for as long as he was just too long. And I'm going to be a bit harsh, but I always felt like we were okay, but we were never really in it. I never really felt like we were going to win a chip with him as the primary player. I know we did in 2020, but for me, Anthony Davis was the best player in that series, and we sort of went how Anthony Davis was. Whether he was healthy and fit was largely how we played well during that LeBron and Anthony Davis era. Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm completely over it. So I'm just looking forward to Luca having his own runway. I feel like Luca needs that, deserves that. And, at the end of the day, if Luca wanted to play with LeBron and vice versa, that'd still be happening. So the mix wasn't right there. And we'll just see. I think you've got to give a young guy like that, 27 years of age, just like LeBron had his own teams when he was younger, and he took the Cavs close to winning it, and then he went to Miami or whatever. You've got to give a guy like Luca, who's, I mean, just a freak. You're talking about the third highest scorer in NBA history by average. You've got to give him his own runway. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I know that the pieces aren't perfect that we've got there, Gerald, and I know you've mentioned that as well, but I don't mind them either. You've got to look at sort of New York has been a bit of a yardstick now as to how you can put together a championship winning team. It's not necessarily about, one or two superstars. It's about having depth. And I hope that this team can pull it together. And I think we've got some good acquisitions, to be honest.
That's the part where I go ahead and stray a little bit away from you
I
on
know.
that. When it comes to LeBron, again, I just thought it was time. And I know that some people were still seeing the contract that he signed for at the veterans minimum, even though he did have bigger contracts available from Golden State, Minnesota, other teams that wanted to go ahead and bring him into the fold. But it was Philadelphia with the pitch to be part of their latest super team, whatever team that LeBron's on. It's a super team, quote unquote. So I'll you can make that of what you will. So
Mm.
again, I'm just glad it's time to move. It was time to move on.
Yeah.
The divorce needed to happen. It just it was never going to be clean. It wasn't that messy. It just hey, all right, have fun. LeBron said I don't want to be here, and they said fine, absolutely good. That's fine with us. But
Yeah.
wish him all the best, except for against the Lakers, and I'll leave it at that. But getting to the team that Rob Pelinka has crafted in the offseason, I am not as high as you are. I have said repeatedly, and no one's been able to come back at me with this as far as is concerned, because as far as what we see now with the signings, of course, Austin Reeves said it almost max, or was a max, but he decided to take $5 million off,
Mm.
as far as from his original somewhat amount that he agreed upon. Um, that was a overpay, in my opinion. Also, as well, Quentin Grimes overpay at $16 million a year, 4 years, $64 million a year deal. 12, $13 million a year for Sandru Mamu Ishveli. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll say it again.
Yeah. I don't know how
And
to say it either. Sandro.
Mamu Kilashvili. There you go, Mamu
Mo-
Kilashvili. Yes, forgot a
nice.
few syllables there. I have to get used to it. Mamu. We'll just say Mamu now for now. So
Yeah,
again,
I'm down with that.
he again for him, 12, $13 million a year. For a guy that, again, like Grimes, was coming off the bench. So we'll see where he's at as far as it's concerned. Colin Sexton getting a 2-year deal as well. A little bit of concerns there for people about his health, although he's been in good shape since he tore up his knee a couple seasons back. As a backup guy, as far as being able to go ahead and handle the ball and be able to shoot at or near 40% from three. We'll
Hmm.
see what he does there. But with those additions, plus the Zaire Williams, Matisse Thybulle, getting them at the veterans minimum, again, for what you see and what you got, plus also as well the Walker Kessler trade, sign and trade, sign him to a $32 million plus deal over the course of his multi-year contract, plus also, of
Mm.
course, giving up the first round picks and the swaps, which is very concerning indeed as far as how much you gave out. I know a lot of people have issue with that as well. For a guy who is not yet a top 10 center, I do believe he will be at some point in time. They're certainly paying him for like that's going to happen. So we will have to
Mm.
wait and see. So with that said, with all of these adjustments in around the team, obviously Cameron Carr as well, and then bringing back a Dutiero and others to try and see what they can do to elevate the team. I still think you have a lot of issues that have not been addressed. This team is a offensive firepower as far as it's
Mm.
concerned. They'll be a top 5 team offensively in the league, which is great during the regular season. They'll outscore a lot of teams. But the problem is defensively, you're basing a lot of your defense on guys you got at the veterans minimum who have found their way out of teams. As far as both Williams couldn't keep on a Brooklyn team, which is at the bottom of the league, which is concerning.
Yeah.
And then of course Matisse Thybulle. If you watch the playoffs and saw the stats from his playoffs, even if you saw the games like I did, and I saw all those games and saw the little impact that he made in the playoffs, you would
Yeah.
be saying, okay, we got him on the veterans minimum. These guys are fine, absolutely. But if you're depending on them to do great things for your defense, that's where you may run into problems. So, with all that said and done, Mark, again, this team has no starting forwards, does not have size beyond Walker Kessler. You have no rim protection. You have concerns all over the place. Oh, Kevon Looney, forgot to add in Kevon Looney there as well.
Yeah.
Your wings and your guards, as far as there's some questions about how you're going to space out the rotation minutes. So if you, as far as I'm concerned, the players that you brought in on some of the higher contracts have not been consistent starters in the league. So there's problems, there's issues, there's
I was happy.
concerns.
I
Well,
was positive.
and again, people just say, "Why don't you lighten up, Gerald? Why don't you?" I get that
Nah,
all the
it's
time on
true.
both my channels, but the realistic fact is, call it like I see it. Always have and always will, and I see issues and concerns about what Rob Pelinka did, and some overpays compared to other players that could have been better fits on this team at better prices than what he paid for this offseason.
I mean, you've got rightful concerns, Gerald. But if you just looked at it, okay, so maybe basing things on last year's teams, not the best thing to do. But if you looked at Kevon Looney and Walker Kessler, versus Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton, that's an improve for me. Um, just for me. Sorry if you don't feel that way, but certainly with Walker's upside, it
Well, I'm
is.
not
And
saying
look,
about it's not Walker Kessler versus DeAndre Ayton. If Walker
no,
Kessler stays on the
but
court,
like that's the way I'm breaking
that's
it
a
down.
that's
Yeah,
a yeah. But Jackson Hayes versus Kevon Looney, that might be an issue because the fact that as far as again rim protection, you don't have anything behind Walker Kessler. So if he gets hurt and you have to thrust Looney into a starting lineup position or Mamu in a starting center position,
yeah.
you've got a 6'9" player out there that is it's literally gonna be a layup line to the
Looney
basket
plays
for
bigger
the
than
Lakers.
6'9", though. Like for me, I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Gerald. That's not the move
Who
that's going to
doesn't
win you
play
a
bigger
chip.
than 6'9" in the
Uh,
NBA?
yeah, but just for me, like Hayes, don't get man. Hayes was a high flyer. I used to love watching him dunk,
Mhm.
but always injured Gerald, and then was a passenger in playoffs. So it was sort of like he was a good player, but then becomes irrelevant. Where Looney might add a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if you took those two as centers from last year and isolated against our two centers now, I'm happy with it. Okay, but then we start going down the list. We start going to power forwards. Then it doesn't look as good. You forgot to mention Vanderbilt before.
I don't like to
uh,
mention Vanderbilt.
yeah, me neither.
Again,
Um,
that's another issue altogether. People are still very divisive on him as far as some people
yeah,
love him, some people hate him. I don't hate the guy. I just don't think he's able to give you what you want, but his contract is hard to move because he has a player option for the
yeah.
27-28 season.
And if he's on our roster next year, if we don't trade him for Kaminga or something, like he's gonna get minutes because he's a big body. Unfortunately, because we've seen with Vanderbilt that it's just he can do some good things, but he lets himself down as soon as he touches the ball. I mean, he's some of his efforts around the rim. It's like he hasn't played the game before. He's very uncoordinated when it comes to layups and things like that. So we'll see with Vanderbilt. I mean, you're starting to worry me now. I'm looking at the squad. We've got Bronny, we've got Dalton, but it's not really about that for me. I sort of like believe in Luca maybe a lot more than probably anyone does. Unfortunately,
Well, he
I
will
think
have to have a MVP season in
yeah,
order
he
for the
will.
Lakers to be at that level. And again, like I said, offensively, this team, Mark, will be one of the best in the entire league. And during the regular season, they will be one of the best. And in doing so, they as hopefully he's okay. And you yeah okay, glad you didn't die on me here.
Not
This
going
team
anywhere.
probably will win 47-52 games, somewhere
Mm,
or somewhere similar to what they did last year. But it's the playoffs. I
yeah.
worry about the playoffs. I don't really, matter as much to me about the regular season. You saw New
Are we
York.
built for playoff success?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you? That's the thing. Are you when the defense gets better, when the defense tightens up, when every possession counts? Are you a better team for it? Are you a good offensive rebounding team? Are you a good defensive rebounding team? Are you a good team defensive team? Or do you have players that can, if they're put out in isolation, defend at the perimeter? These are. Do you have guys that can hit clutch shots from all over the court? Do you
Yeah.
have those options to you? And that's where the questions for me come into lie, especially for guys that you're counting on to play a much bigger role than they're used to playing on their previous teams.
Mm. No, you're right. I mean, yeah, there is a bit of intrepidation, but at the same time, I like some of the players, Gerald. Like I really do. I know you weren't too keen on Grimes's contract, but from what I saw from him last year in the playoffs and what he did in Philly, like he was one of the standouts for me. I believe it or not. Like I don't know why, and I didn't obviously know we were going to sign him, but when I watched a couple of games, I thought, oh, that Grimes is nice. So when I saw him sign for us, I liked it. Maybe the money is too much, but it's a tough one right now. Like, look at AR, again, we think he's got too much on his contract, but he can score 20 to 25 to 30 points a game. So he's going to get paid for that. And it's like we have to match it. And look, I said this in yesterday's show when you were catching up with John. If Luca believes in AR, I think you've got to back him a little bit. There's a reason why Luca's played with a lot of great players. We sometimes don't see it. I think we commented on Luca was recently with Rich Eisen or Dan Patrick on one of those. I think it was a Dan Patrick show, and
From
he
the
looked like
fairway.
yeah, from the fairway, and didn't look like he'd been working out. It looked like he was in the buffet a bit to me. Like he didn't look super fit. I'm not saying he's overweight or anything, but where we've always wanted Austin Reeves sort of to develop is in his upper body and things like that. It just doesn't look like he's going to be that type of player to maybe get particularly muscular and things. So we're going to have to accept it. But what they've got to do is improve on defense, and they've got to show a willingness to play D. Because when you can move that fast on the offensive end, that means you can move your feet quickly. So you've really got to pay attention on defense. We've seen Luca when we had that really good streak this year, Gerald, early Jan to Feb, when Luca came back after the All Star break, and they really locked in on defense. And when Luca's had his success with Dallas, when they've had those longer playoff runs, it was because they locked in on D. They can do it, but there's no way you sort of expect Luca to play defense in game one like you do the playoffs. So, but he's got to come to the party a bit. So let's just see. I mean, if there's a bit more of a willingness by your top player like a Luca to play D, and a guy like AR can follow. I know you've got a lot more reservations about AR's defense, and rightfully so, because we've seen it. We've seen it in playoffs absolutely crumble. So yeah, I mean that is a worry, but I just like the youth of the team, Gerald. I like the fact that our oldest player, I think, is Looney at 30. Um, so I think the NBA is moving to that sort of more of a team based model, more of a younger type of league. We've seen that with the last couple of winners, and guys like LeBron and that slowly phasing out. So I think yeah, whether it's this year, Gerald, that we're really really contending, obviously question marks. But if they can, have a competitive season and maybe get to the next trade period and make a good trade or two, there is question marks with a guy like Thibault, Gerald. I mean, he's Aussie, so apparently he's Aussie. I don't think he's born here, but he plays for the Australian national team. So I was pretty stoked to see him get picked up, but he's not the answer either. Like he's the kind of guy that you can't really play in playoffs too because they target him like they'll hacker Thibault him. He's that kind of potential. He can't really shoot and things, so he'll be an answer at stages during the regular season. Sexton, I like Gerald. I don't mind that pickup. Sandro, he's a good player. Look, when I look at sort of this is what I've done anyway. This is how I've based my analysis this year on why I'm being a bit more positive. I believe, honestly and wholeheartedly, the squad list compared to last year is better. I was sick of Rui. I know Rui had good games, but that guy's not a winning player. Marcus Smart was probably our best second or third best player last year, which shows you everything. I mean, when he was playing, like we were really gravitating towards Smart because, he tries so hard, but that guy is not that good. Like there's a reason Boston got rid of him and then they won a chip. Like, I think we've really over analyzed how good Smart was. So I'm glad he's gone too. I'm glad they got rid of Aiton. I'm glad to be honest, Hayes isn't there. I think it was just time for change. I think you can become very complacent in a Laker uniform, and yeah, like those guys weren't sort of winning players. So I think we needed to change a few of those. I was sort of advocating even for an AR to go, but it's hard to replace 25, 30 points a game. So let's see. That for me, honestly, it's Walker Kessler. When you watch his highlights, there it looks. I don't know what to make of it. Some of it's great, some of it's average, And but when you're 7'3" or whatever that guy is, you're gonna get paid and you're gonna be in demand. So there is some nice stuff he does around the rim. He's not Jokic around the rim, but he does have a nice touch. We've just got to see if that develops and just see if he can turn into a really, really good NBA player because he's not a top 10 center, Gerald. But if he can be, then you're looking at
And I think he
maybe,
can be at some point in time.
yeah,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
though? Luka needs that to be sooner rather than later. It doesn't need to be in 3 years' time. Walker's got to get there pretty quickly. As young as he is, Luca needs players that, aren't really developing, that are, they're developing because they're already there kind of thing. So we'll see. Hopefully Luca can bring along that development. All I've seen from Luca in the off season is he's kept lean and mean. That was really important to me, Gerald, because his weight has fluctuated over the journey. When you've looked at him in Dallas, and obviously when he first came to us, he was quite heavy, and then he's lost that weight and he's kept it off. He kept it off during injury last year, so it's obviously more of a lifestyle for him now. Again, I'm just really excited to see what Luca can do. I hope maybe he's also getting a little bit of not psychological coaching, but I'm hoping he's talking about how to keep his emotions towards the referees a bit more, whether it be positive or a bit more in check, so he can utilize that energy in other parts of his game. I felt like, it's the only issue for me with Luca is that it's a part of his game and what drives him. We know that. He loves to talk, but he also really loves to go the referees, the umpires. I hope that maybe that's something that he's improving. I mean, these guys have got to improve. That's what I kept saying about Rui Hachimura. Rui got here 3 years ago and he didn't improve. All we did every offseason, I kept saying, man, Rui, can you go from 16, 18 points a game to 23? Never any improvement. So what I want to see from some of these younger guys is improvement. And hopefully a guy like Colin Sexton, I know he had a bit of a downturn, but then he was playing well for Charlotte. So I just want to see guys improving. And that doesn't mean Luca goes from 35 points to 40 a game. Luca doesn't need to improve his offense. He's got to improve his overall fitness so he can play better D. So I just want to see little improvements. I feel like the circus with LeBron now, yeah, that was a massive distraction. I know that we've still got Bronny there, but Bronny's just an afterthought now. The last few seasons going into, LeBron playing with Bronny and is this LeBron's last year? And it was all just a distraction. I don't think they really had a future. Like JJ Redick now sort of, to some people don't like JJ Gerald. I don't mind it. I like JJ. I like the passion that he's brought to the club. I think we've had 2 good seasons under him from a winning perspective, win-loss record perspective in the regular season. We haven't done that well in playoffs. I think he is a good coach. I think he demands high standards, and that's why we got the amount of wins we did under pretty trying circumstances with a team that was sort of a bit wishy-washy. And LeBron James, yeah, he's a top. I keep hearing top 25 player, and like he's a top 25 offensive player. We watched so many games, Gerald, where you would look at the screen and there was 5 of their team and 4 of ours. And where was LeBron? He was on the other. He was at halfway or still at the other end of the rim, waiting for someone to chuck in the ball to get an easy layup. Like it wasn't like that all the time. But LeBron was, when we talk about how much of a passenger AR and Luca, man, there was no bigger passenger on defense than LeBron James. Okay, this guy's a massive unit, could never get a rebound. Like, yeah, for me, it's more about how we move forward without LeBron as a team. And I think you're just, yeah, naturally like the spirits and stuff will be up. So I just got to go into it enthusiastic. We know we've got a great player in Luca, Gerald, that can, carry us to a certain amount of wins. Maybe there's some more moves to come. You know more than that about me, Gerald. Is there potentially any, I think they're talking Kaminga. How long do we have to go? Is it a couple of weeks or until the end of August where you can still make any sort of move, or are we pretty much done in terms of moves? Because I just keep hearing this Kaminga for Vanderbilt, which
Well,
wouldn't
see,
make sense right
that's the
now with
thing.
the height.
What does this do for Atlanta? Gets them some second round picks. I mean, they have
Yeah,
17 players on their team. So if the rumors are true and it's supposed to be happening over the course of this weekend, that he's going to land a nice big fat 2 year, $20 million per year contract with the Lakers, and they're going to magically send Jared Vanderbilt to Atlanta, um, who then has to decide what to do with him, even though, again, that'll make 18 players on their teams with guaranteed contracts.
yeah,
That's a problem right there in and of itself. And is it really worth the second round picks or the draft swap that they have left? Because that's the thing, you talked about waiting
true.
until the trade deadline. They don't have any trade assets. 3 second rounders
Especially if they do that.
and a pick
Yeah,
swap. That's it. Yeah, if they do that and bring in Kamingo, who again, what does he do for your team? He
I don't
scores
like it.
buckets,
Yeah,
but
we've got
what else does he
Kaminga
do?
type players already for me. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Where does he play? Like, does he
is
replace
he a?
AR? That doesn't
No,
make sense. We've just
he
played
would be
AR
at a
30 million. Yeah.
he would play smaller power forward depending on
Okay.
where
So
they would.
you potentially have Luca, AR, Kaminga, and then you fill it out with 2 more
But
players.
he doesn't stretch the floor. I know
No.
that he got often chastised for not being fully committed on the defensive end. I just watched him in the playoffs against the Knicks, and I just ran it back because somebody it was calling out his defense,
And you
saying it
saw
was
it,
good,
yeah.
and I just saw OG Ananobi blow by him like he was an open door. So don't tell
Man.
me that that's the case. It's he focuses when he wants to with his great
Yeah.
athletic ability, and when he doesn't, he just cruises on by, and that's there's reasons why he didn't play as much, as much as he should have in Golden State. Now,
Of
part of
course.
it's him,
Yeah, agree.
part of it's Steve Kerr. Both. This was a train that could never meet between the both of them as far
Yeah.
as their relationship is concerned. It was bad for the both of them, and like the Lakers and LeBron, it was time to move on. But
Mm.
Atlanta, he had a new opportunity, a fresh opportunity. And after 20 some odd games and the playoffs, they decided they weren't going to go ahead and pick up the final year on his contract. And they said goodbye. So what does
That's a
that tell
bad
you
sign.
there? He never cracked the starting lineup. He was off the bench. So what
Yeah.
does that tell you? And you look at his stats, all he gets you is buckets. He doesn't provide rebounding. He doesn't provide,
Nah, nah.
as far as any playmaking. He doesn't pass to his teammates. He's it's a problem. Bring him on for 20 million per year and whatnot, just because he thinks he's still that kind of player. I hope he could take that leap if he
Mm.
comes on the Lakers. But again, the past few years have shown that may not be the case.
I actually put in comments yesterday, any Laker fan that wants Kaminga doesn't watch games. And then I sort of started reading that, oh, it's pretty close to him coming. So I was just hoping to change my tune, but I don't like it. Like, I mean, if he comes, we're going to back it, obviously, because he's a Laker, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like, a player like Grimes, a player like Sexton, a player like AR. to kind of like connect. Okay, whether or not he plays, but I don't know what Kaminga offers us over and above what we've got. And okay, yeah, maybe offensively he might be better than a couple of those players, but sorry, this is Luca's team. This is AR's team. Like, you're not going to run the show. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good sign that you've been, kicked out of Golden State, like you said. Yeah, it wasn't the perfect storm there with a coach like Kerr who doesn't like the younger players, but if you were really super, super talented and Kerr thought the world of you, he would have given you time. He's given that, Podzinski time or whatever, and he tried. Like, it's not like Kaminga didn't play some games. He played quite a bit in the Warriors, but obviously things fell apart. And yeah, Gerald, then to get to Atlanta and to sort of have, the ability to, you know, uh, show another spot what you can do, and they really haven't taken to you. Yeah, honestly, I'm not crazy
Yeah.
about it, Joe, but I'm just like I'm so worried it's going to happen that I'm going to need to get among. I'm going to need to sort of back it. But if we, all things being equal, I prefer that they don't do it. I prefer, honestly, I can't stand Vanderbilt, but I prefer a big body. I'd prefer another big body in the team that at least, if one of these guys get injured, could come in. And I mean, Vando will probably get injured that game as well. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense ultimately keep Vando long term. But if the trade is for Kaminga and a pick from us, no way would you do that. That'd be crazy. So we'll see. That'd be a disappointing, blight on the offseason if Rob goes down that path. But the thing with Rob Gerald is that you know, you just never know with that guy. He's made so many bad decisions over the journey. A couple of good decisions this season. And he's managed to keep Luca to a degree, but he got lucky with that Luca trade. Like that fell in his lap. I question if he's still there if Luca doesn't get traded to us. That's how Rob's not really a good GM. When you compare him to some of the other guys in the league, so that's a little bit of a handbrake as well, Gerald. The fact that our GM seems to be pretty clueless at times. But yeah, let's see. Like for me, it's just I think that Luca can carry a team. I've seen it. Like I've said this
Gonna have
from
to.
day he is, but I've said this since day one that we're on the trade. That famous day when he got traded to us, that famous night, we were together. And I've always thought this about Luca. He carried his national team. I know they didn't win it, but he carried them really far in the Olympics. And a guy like that inspires other players. So let's just see.
Oh yeah,
Let's just see
again
what
in the
happens.
regular season it'll be fine. Again, this
Yeah,
team is
it's just playoffs.
it's
I
47
know.
to 52 wins. Again, you can just pretty much count it depending on Luca's health.
Just lock it in.
Uh, yeah, I think you put it right around there, right around fourth, fifth place in the Western Conference. I could really see that happening. I don't know for sure. I have to uh, really figure out what I want to do as far as where I want to put these
Yeah,
teams compared. I haven't looked over the rosters time and time again as of yet to go ahead and determine exactly where they'll fall in the Western Conference. But I see about 47 to 52 wins for this team as of now. It could change depending on how I see those other teams in the conference, but I don't see them as I don't see them as a team that's going to be under 500 or anything like that. But I just
mm,
think people wanted to go ahead like me and wanted to say, okay, you have this clean slate of cash that you could go ahead and spend or trade for it, as far as free agency or bring in people to, via
yeah,
trades. And it just seems like you put all your eggs into not too many baskets.
yeah,
And with Austin Reeves, you just overspent when you could have signed and traded for probably some better assets, as far as that will help you down the road. When it comes
yeah,
to Quentin Grimes, you're basing a lot off of what you saw 2 seasons ago when he had a chance in 25 games to start for a tanking team in Philadelphia at that time when he got traded from Dallas. That's what you're basing it on, not last season, because last season, again, he was coming off the bench. Mamu, same thing as far as with Mamu, it's just
Mm,
an issue of okay, this is not the good, no longer the guy that was waived by San Antonio that was picked up by Toronto. He's had a nice career coming off the bench and being one of the better six men in the league. But now are you asking him to do more now that you're paying him more for it? And then it just
true.
where does that? And then with all
Yeah.
the with all these guys that are around where they're at, there's no definitive starting forwards on this team that have that starting level experience over a long period of time, or outside of Quentin Grimes in that 20 game span. It really is concerning there. What happens with the young guys? What happens with the Cameron Carrs or the Adu Theros, who everybody saw did so well in Las Vegas? Cameron Carr did so well in the Bay Area, the
Mm,
California Classic.
looks good.
What happened? What happens to those players? Do those players get PT? Where do they fit in the rotation? And then you've got those guys, that are coming
Yeah.
in on the veterans minimums. They're low risk but potentially high reward. But the way that people talk about Matisse Thybulle and also as well the way they talk about Zaire Williams, it's like they're the second coming. And the thing is,
Nah.
these guys were brought in. These guys only got to deal with the Lakers on the veterans minimum for a reason. They I don't necessarily burn their bridges like DeAndre Ayton did or like Jonathan Kaminga did, but if you can't stick on the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know if that's
No,
a great thing to say. On the
the only thing
Brooklyn
I'll say about
Nets
that is,
with Zaire
The
Williams.
Nets are a tanking team. My brother, I think we mentioned this before, but my brother's a massive Nets fan. And so I would watch a few Nets games. I actually didn't mind Zaire Williams. I used to call him the Avatar guy because he used to look a little bit like an avatar with his braided hair. And I actually thought he was pretty decent. So for him to get picked up on a veteran minimum, again, it's not great signs, Gerald, but um,
It's
yeah,
low floor
and
because and it's potentially high ceiling. It's a very low
yeah,
risk deal, so that's great. But there's reasons why these guys are only able to sign these kinds of deals.
no, you're right, and you can't. I mean, a guy like that, can you really look at him and say, "Oh, you're going to carry the team"? It's like he'll be looking at you going, "Sorry, Luke is on $60 million more than me a year." Like, so there is an element of that too.
And these guys are like 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the league already.
I
For
know,
these guys, and that's
I
the
know.
thing. Kevon Looney, who we talked about, yes, he has those rings and whatnot, but he
Yeah,
just
he was
got
never the
done.
star, and
He just
no,
got dumped by New Orleans. New Orleans didn't pick up his contract, and why is
yeah,
that? Because it's not the same Steve Kerr run offense. Is that the only offense that he can really thrive under? That's going to be the
yeah,
question.
where he's purely there just to be a center and not do anything else like score or
Just set screens for Steph
yeah,
Curry, and there you go, and
and
rebound,
get the odd rebound. Yeah,
and do the
and
dirty
he
things. Yes.
He surprises me. He's 30. He's sort of the way he played. I thought he might be 36, 37. Very old, like the way he's always played like an older body. So we'll see with Looney. But
But now you understand my concerns as
that,
far as
look,
this year.
it wasn't like I wasn't concerned. But just a little bit more positive with some of the acquisitions. That's all. I think you mentioned Grimes there. I watched a bit of Philly last year in the playoffs, and I thought he was great. That's why he stood out for me. I was like, this guy's awesome. And then they've obviously moved on to Jalen Brown and what have you. So I thought that's not a bad pickup as a guy off the bench for us. So yeah, and the same with Sexton. I feel good about that. I feel like they're better players than some of our. I think we really over like I said about Smart, we overrated him. I think we overrated Luke Kennard. Kennard, yeah, you're a great 3-point player, and he had a couple, the playoff game where he scored 20 odd. Nah, man, that guy. I mean, when we talk about defensive liabilities, that was laughable. He could not defend for anything. So, I'm happy we've moved on from him. Yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit of a better mixture of players, but overall, Gerald, okay, when you start comparing us to the big boys, especially in our conference, like the Spurs and OKC and some of the stronger teams, yeah, we're starting. We do look a little bit weaker in certain spots, but we'll see, Gerald. I don't think none of us have really watched Walker Kessler with intent. You've probably seen a lot more than me, but if he can develop very quickly into just say a top 10 center, this year, well, yeah, I don't know. I think we just got to be positive as much as we can be. I feel like I said before, the NBA is changing more into a team game. So where we had a guy like LeBron who really needed the ball, so did AR, so did Luca. That mix was not going to work either. Um, have you heard anything like? Did you go to summer league this year, Gerald, or
Yeah,
did you
I
see?
stopped by summer league. Yes.
Oh, you did. Unreal. Was Dalton there?
No. Players
Oh,
in their third year,
they don't
unless
go.
they're fighting for a spot, they don't go.
Got
They
you.
go to watch, but they don't go to participate unless they're actually
Well, I
fighting
mean,
for
they
a
could have
roster
given him
spot.
some game time. Him and Bronny,
Yeah,
just
they
chuck
don't.
him on the floor.
They
They
just
gotcha. It's
it's a
more of a
matter of thing.
first or second year thing, and yeah,
It's the
okay.
first or second year, or people fighting to get even a look into the getting in the league. That's who goes
Okay.
to summer league.
That's why it's just a great unknown what's happening right now with the team, and a guy like Dalton completely flamed out last year, but I mean, can he just all of a sudden turn it back around and be an asset for the team? I'm not too sure. I hope so. Geez, Dalton's been a funny story, hasn't he, Gerald? Like, you know,
Yes.
I'll never
Uh,
forget, and I always say this, you know, LeBron James, man, after he scored that 39 points, just came out and just gassed him up like there was no tomorrow, and how all these other GMs are trash, and how Rob picked him up, at the 16th pick, and then from that moment, Dalton connect like that, and I think that was LeBron James leadership, man. The dude just not really a leader, you know, to me anyway. Just that whole period, yeah, and why he gassed up Dalton. 139-point game's good, but you need to do it a bit more than that. And yeah, what a shame with Dalton. Let's just fingers crossed he's working on the mental side of things as well, and maybe he does get a shot. I don't know, but wow, when Bronny was sort of being put ahead of him last year by JJ, it was a bit heartbreaking to see because we all wanted the best for Dalton, but it might be a bit of a lost cause now. The other one is Thiero, injured a bit last year, but man, can he can sort of jump out of the gym. Dude's super athletic, super thick, like looks more like a UFC fighter. Don't know, have we got something there with him? Not sure. That Cameron car looks awesome, but we've seen players look awesome at things like Summer League before in the G League and then not be able to play at the level. But he looks. What's your assessment on him, Gerald? Is that a
Thiero again.
pick up?
Well,
Thiero
again,
and
when
Carr,
it comes on Thiero, correct?
both. Thiero and Carr.
Well, Carr again. I had still thought Chris Cenek Jr. met more of the Lakers' needs,
Hmm.
but when it comes to Cameron Carr, as I said, leading the days up to it on the Lakers' latest show and also on this show, he exceeded every metric at the NBA draft combine. So he
Yeah,
is for a guy his size at 6'4", he has better reach, better agility. He can shoot better as far as is concerned. He's got a good stroke, and it should parlay to a pretty good career going forward. I was listening to another show the other day, and they said at some point in time he may be able to evolve into a starting level player. We'll have to wait and see. But the problem is he going to get enough the playing time in order to see that
develop.
promise? And that's
Yeah,
the problem. And that's the question right there. So again, in Vegas, he didn't look good as far
yeah.
as shooting wise. He got his points about 16 to 18 a game, but his shot selection his
It's
buckets
poor.
and his percentages were actually not good. It's where we saw him in San Francisco that was really promising, and he lit up San Francisco and was amazing in those first 3 games. It's just in Vegas, he just it kind of just went off course. But I do credit the Lakers for keeping him out there because a lot of times these first round draft picks, they just play 1 or 2 games in Vegas and then the team just says, okay, you've had enough. We don't want to
Yeah,
get you hurt. And I credit the Lakers. One thing I will credit the Lakers on doing is letting him play throughout the entire Vegas Summer League. And I give him a lot of credit for that. Dude, Thiero, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for because the fact he got injured and what we saw last season when he was in there at the NBA level was not impressive.
hmm
People have to go beyond his dunks. People have to go beyond what he can do. Yes, there's so many athletes in the NBA.
yeah,
Him at 6'7", he's not going to be able to jump over everyone. Okay, let's
yeah,
just come to grips with that. But and his dunks are great, and his lobs, that they have in summer league were great. What else can he bring to the table? Well, he brought a lot more to the table in summer league, which he was to me the biggest surprise of the entire summer league for the Los Angeles Lakers because he found other ways to impact the game positively and not just on the defensive
true,
end, but also as well his passing, his rebounding, the ways he was affecting the game was really promising, and he got better. He struggled in San Francisco, but in Vegas he got better as time went on, and I was really happy with the progress that he made. In fact, he had a perfect game from the field, I believe, in his last game with the Lakers in summer league. So again, credit to him for getting better as time went on.
mm,
Cameron Carr, I'm not surprised about is because the fact is, as a rookie, you're just seeing this stuff for the first time, and he came out like a house of fire and started to fade in Vegas. That doesn't surprise me at all because a lot of these guys in Vegas, these kids, they're just jacking up shots right and left and still just trying to get their feet wet. So again, with Cameron Carr, I still see a lot of promise with him. And I still see a lot of good things, hopefully, going forward with him. Kaluma was a nice, as far
yeah.
as
Looking
see
at
him
him,
develop. Yeah, he was just
Arthur Kaluma, yeah,
yeah,
forward,
Arthur Kaluma, yes. To see him progress in Vegas was very good to see. He was consistent all summer long, and that's what he needed to do because he had been a solid player, but at the G League team last year. But
mm,
that's nobody ever had talked about him at all because he was just there. He got you your 15 points every game in, game out. Now he's finally got a chance to go ahead and be a two-way player for the Lakers, and we'll see what he does with his opportunity when given the chance to him. Chris Mannion as well. Those two should see time during the course of the season. In case,
really
especially, I think they will. I think with with
far
JJ,
out.
he is like a lot of coaches that if he does not see something he likes on the bench, he'll try another player and he'll try another
Gotcha.
player.
Yeah,
I mean, he even gave time, if you remember, Nick Smith Jr. based on either injuries or circumstance or performance uh, at times. And you saw Nick Smith Jr. sometimes take advantage of it, sometimes he didn't. But with
sometimes
that
not.
said,
Mm.
Kaluma and Mannion on two ways may get some time upcoming this season. But again, this is a team that has a lot of guys that may be able to help Luca, but from what I'm seeing, I just don't see it as a team that you could field or put against San Antonio or OKC, New York, or some other upper echelon teams and say, you know what, they're going to take a 4 out of 7 game series.
Yeah, no, you're right. And like, there obviously that intrepidation is there. And if you look at the mix of players, there seems to be a few similar type players. We've got a lot of shooting guards that we just even spoke about then, and that was without even, adding the actual guys that are probably likely to start or, be nearer to the starters like Colin Sexton and what have you. So it is a bit of a funny little mix of players if you put it that way. Man, when you look at it's Bronny's actually the youngest player in the team, other than Cameron Carr. Um, But like I said before, the oldest player being Looney, I do like that. That's a big, big change for us. Obviously, having the oldest player like LeBron, but we were filling it out with veteran players too. Or we've had Westbrook in the past, and we had Smart last year. So I like the youth that they've got there. That's the other thing with Luca. Man, Luca's tall as too. Like, I mean, he plays point guard, but he really could play power forward with his height, but he's not going to. So we'll see, Gerald. Let's just, I think what you're saying is right. We're going to have a pretty solid regular season. It's just what that can translate to in the playoffs. If you look at last year, Gerald, and you say to yourself, okay, Luca didn't get injured, do you think we would have gone further than we ultimately did? I mean, we won round one, and
No, you're not
there was,
beating OKC. You're not beating OKC. That team is not beating OKC with Luca.
even with Luca,
Even with Luca, you're
it,
getting a couple. Even the best you're thinking is 6 games. Again,
yeah,
I just you cannot.
the
You're not beating.
matchups, and
Yeah, you're not beating OKC in that series. You're just not. They don't. They didn't have an answer for SGA when they double teamed SGA. They slowed them down, but couldn't slow down everyone else. When they stopped double
yeah,
teaming SGA, SGA blew up on Austin Reeves and Luke Kennard. He targeted and then he put those two on an island, took turns depending on who was out there,
it's
and
ate
just
them up.
repeatedly and ate him up for 35 points. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that
so
was yeah, I know. And then he didn't. Against the Spurs, he didn't have the greatest series in the world.
well, but he had better defensive guards against him.
Of
Castle,
course, yeah.
yeah,
Just
Castle and
wonder,
Harper and Vassell, and they have 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" players that
yeah,
can get in your face and
young
make
and
things
hungry
difficult.
too.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. No, fair
uh,
enough.
that's why I have the concern I always do about the Lakers in the playoffs when you field a team like Luca and
And they are,
AR out there as far as your defensive backcourt. Luca, that's fine because Luca will score 35 and get away with it. But when it comes to AR, that's where they'll target you each and every time. We saw in the playoffs, and I'll throw this example until I'm blue in the face
yeah,
with New York and Cleveland. And remember that first game, Cleveland was up by 22. And then they
yes,
realized something on the Knicks. Mike Brown said, okay, Jalen Brunson, I'm just going to have you take the ball. I'm just going to have you isolate against James Harden. And I'm going to
yeah,
have you keep on doing it. And I'm going to have to keep on doing it. I'm having to keep on doing it all throughout the fourth quarter until Kenny Atkinson, the coach of the Cavaliers, takes him out of the game or figures out a way to stop it. And you know what? They never did. They lost that
yeah.
game.
They just kept going with
They
the
just kept
same
going.
thing.
They did, and
Yeah,
they Atkinson just if he takes Harden out of the game for five
and that kept
possessions,
happening that whole series. You're right.
yeah,
They'd get
and
up, and then they just isolate,
they
and then it was
attack, they
done.
isolate, and then if they didn't isolate Harden, they would isolate Mitchell.
Yeah,
So you've got to have the capability because in this, okay, well, you say, okay, well, we'll have one of our better defenders guard. What they switch. What I do not like in the NBA, as far as at least with the Lakers, is they have these
mm,
switching defenses where they automatically switch, even when they don't need to switch, and they still
yeah,
switch. And you end up with the guy that you're targeting in the first place, and they'll just hit you every time with it in the playoffs. And it's frustrating to me that you don't seem to figure this out quite a bit. And all I'll say
yeah,
is this again: I think this team is going to outscore a lot of teams. I think this team is going
yeah,
to win its share of games. The problem comes in the playoffs and what you have. And you're writing and resting a lot on a guy that played 5 games last season in Walker Kessler. You're
yeah.
talking about you're writing a lot of, again as far as
5
defensive.
games?
He only played 5 games. He had a shoulder injury and he was out
Oh
the
no!
entire season.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he had shoulder surgery and was
Ah, I thought he played like
but
65 games.
no, he take off 60 because he only played
Oh
five
my
games last
god,
season.
he essentially hasn't
And
played
they
for
didn't
2
bring him
years
back. They did even if he was ready. They didn't bring him back because they were
because they were
busy tanking.
tanking. Yeah.
Yes, and then
Oh no.
then you're putting a lot on, and JJ will probably fall in love with one or either or both of Thibault and
Yeah,
Williams
or
because,
Williams.
but then again, those guys, they're
Yeah, nah.
low risk, high reward, but then you're basing a lot of your future on these veteran minimum guys, and that's
Yeah.
concerning always when you do.
Yeah, and that's not going to win you a chip. Like veteran minimum guys are not going to be the reason you win a chip. Like, I mean, they're a part of the team and they can be a nice little cherry on top, but you've got to have the nucleus of the team much better. And I come, look, your reservations about AR, Gerald, I've got them too. Like, I can't believe how much they paid him.
Mhm.
It's, I mean, he probably can't either. But I'm just sort of, holding on to that. If Luca didn't want him, he wouldn't be there. And I don't know if Luca's seen something that we haven't, or maybe they're just best mates and they're in cahoots and they just want to get paid as much as possible. Um, maybe there was so much demand in the market that they had to pay that. I don't know. It does look overs, Gerald. And I guess he took $5 million less, but that's from where he was as a rookie to now. I mean, he's made so much money that money that he probably didn't expect to make. That $5 million. A guy like that you're playing in LA with his kind of profile now, you can make $5 million up pretty easily. I know that sounds hard to believe, but these guys are in a different world to us. So we'll just see, Gerald. I mean, yeah, like it didn't look like he was in the lab working on his defense. It looked like he was in the lab working on his golf swing. But yeah, at the same time, AR's given us a lot of good memories. He has won us games against teams when we've had no players. Even a LeBron and Luca have been out, and he's sort of risen to the task against teams, but it's all been regular season. I completely agree with you, and we've seen the issues in playoffs. So I don't know. We'll just have to be positive and hope things can turn around. The thing is, we're in a tough conference. OKC's had a little bit of change. I know they got rid of Dort, but they're still going to be very strong. Spurs are only going to get stronger because they're young and developing. There's other good teams there. So we'll see. I just think hopefully we can have a year with Luca without injury. That's proving to be a bit difficult. The first two seasons, he came halfway during the first season, but he was injured at times then. He got injured last year. It's not the best sign at his age to be getting injured from the muscle injuries as long as he has. So hopefully that can stay away. Same with AR. AR's had a few muscle injuries for a guy that's still only in his sort of mid 20s to later 20s. So yeah, let's just wait and see. What's the plan from here, Joel? Do we go into like preseason games? Is that the next time we'll see the Lakers? Is it in a month or two that they start having any sort of games?
Well,
Or
that is correct. In October, early October,
okay,
There's training camp that comes around the end of the September, and then going into October, early October,
got
you
you.
start exhibition games. I know that Luca has talked about
Adam.
getting the guys together in Slovenia
Yeah.
for a 4-day mini camp.
Did
So that
they've
they
done that, haven't they? Or that was
Well,
proposed?
LeBron used to do a camp every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he used to do it. I think at least one time, if not multiple times, near Joe Solo in
Yes.
Temecula. So
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I thought that had actually happened. No, I'm reading now. It's planned. So they're during Slovenian training camp for his Laker
yeah,
teammates.
so they do
Uh,
sightseeing. They're gonna work out, and then of course make sure they play some golf as
awesome.
well. Yeah.
Look, man. At the end of the day, Gerald, at least it's Luca's team now. If Luca, he's taking his team to Slovenia. If we look back on this period in 2 or 3 years' time and there hasn't been much success, well, at least we can sort of maybe put it on Luca. Like the way things were going with
But you can't
LeBron
put
and
it on
Luca,
LeBron anymore.
we
So
got, well, I can find a way if you like.
I'm sure
But
there are people that will.
I'll never forget. I can't remember what game, but it was on playback, and we were watching it together. And something happened, and LeBron sort of intimated that he was going to run out of the building. And I like this was like 3 years, 2 years ago. I just told him to keep going, like run to the retirement home. I just wanted him gone then. So I think we've got to be open minded to seeing what this team can do without LeBron. Um, LeBron had was good at certain times, but it was all about LeBron. Remember, Joe, the last couple of years with the hourglass, and whenever something was going wrong, there was a narrative put out by Rich Paul. The whole Bronny James saga, all that, all that's gone now. At least we can just focus on the basketball. Like I was thinking about it today, still walking a lot, and when I go on my walks, I obviously think a lot. And I think about the Lakers, and I was just thinking about it today, just like that moment where he scored the record amount of points. I think it was against Memphis. Man, absolute trash. Like, okay, great. You scored the most amount of points in NBA history, but you played like 10 more years than anyone else that's played. Like, and we celebrated that moment like we needed to care. I didn't care at all. I didn't care about any of his moments in an LA uniform other than the chip, all these sort of individual moments that he had. And I just didn't care about it. For a while it was a bit of a circus and it was all about LeBron. And that mix of Luca and LeBron, it was never right. I know obviously they could win a few games, and I will give it. There was one moment I'd have to go back who they played, but there was a moment where Luca and LeBron they sort of toyed with the defender and they passed it like piggy in the middle, and then I think LeBron shot a three. I'd have to go back and sort of find that footage. That will stand out to me. That was a moment that I can remember of them on the court, but that was few and far between. Luke. I think when Luca first played the first game for us, LeBron let him come out as the fifth guy when LeBron's normally the fifth guy. Like there was a little bit of camaraderie, and you could see at times that there was a bit of spirit. But when they were happiest, like last year, was when LeBron was out, and that's true. When I from what I saw, I'm not saying that was that LeBron was a bad character or anything, but I felt that. I felt like he was a bit of a weight, a bit of a paperweight. And he's I feel like that's going to bring down Philly too. I think Philly are just like they're completely lost on who they're getting there with LeBron. It's not LeBron 10 years ago.
Yeah, but what if
It's
they get the LeBron that we saw in the
in the
playoffs?
playoffs.
And
Yeah,
the
but
when AR and Luca
yeah,
went out, that's the
but
player
it's
that they
like
need. That's the player. That's the connective tissue that they need for that team.
but he was
Plays like
also
that.
like completely controlling that whole game. He's not going to get that chance. I don't know if he's a player that can just come in and I know what you're saying, and yeah, I didn't rate that. I didn't rate that as much as anyone did. What he did in the playoffs for us, I just didn't. Uh, I'm
I
so
have to
savage on
disagree
the.
with you there because
I know you would disagree, but yeah, I feel like the
he
was
won
it
us
the
that rock. He
Timberwolves?
won us that first round series against the Rockets.
Yeah, but did he like Kennard like won us one of those games? And
No, it was LeBron.
Kennard
It was
like
LeBron.
30 points. Like, yeah, but that's a bad sign for the T Wolves. Then I think they play. Was it the Timberwolves? Yeah, we.
We
Am I
played
thinking
the
right?
Rockets in the first round.
Sorry, the Rockets. Hey man, nah. Oh, Gerald, hang on a second. No, 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 no. Okay, the Rockets were a shambles. They didn't want to play. Kevin Durant had pretty much berated his whole team, say in a burner account, like nah, honestly, yeah, great effort. We beat the Rockets, but I'm pretty sure we would have beaten no one else. So yeah, look, nah, LeBron, look, nah, Gerald, I'm so happy he's gone, and he can go to Philly. They're not going to do much, honestly, unless they have a fully healthy Joel Embiid, and they have the other guys healthy, and he really plays like a fourth wheel, and maybe even potentially coming off the bench. I can't talk LeBron James up at 42. I just can't do it anymore. We've seen it. Like, yeah, he won us a playoff series, maybe. I don't know. I'm done with him. He can't defend. Yeah, he's gone. Let's move on. We've still got his son. What's going to happen there, Gerald? Like, obviously, he's going to be on
They
on
have
the team.
16 players on the team. They got to get rid of somebody.
Oh, really?
Yes,
So they
they have 16 guaranteed contracts right now as of this recording. And even if
oh,
they do this miraculous Jared Vanderbilt trade for Jonathan Kuminga, you still have 16 players on the team. So
so they
a
have to
Bronny,
cut someone.
they'll have to either trade away someone with
I didn't know
whatever,
that.
again, whatever assets they have, or waive and stretch. But the problem is, most of these other teams have the same problem that the Lakers do, that they have more than 15
Too many
players signed.
players.
Yes.
Do you think he'll go then on that basis? Do you think they're just waiting and they'll ultimately
My
cut
guess
him?
would be a Connect or a Laravia would probably be
Oh,
that
that's
would
the
be
one I
the
was going to
best.
mention. We haven't even talked about Ravioli. Who?
I and the thing
Oh,
is,
don't want to.
you can't waive Vando because he has a player option the next
Man,
season. So you're, in essence, what you maybe do, you can't, if you have him pick up that next year on his contract. Yeah, it's just, yeah, you can't, because he's most likely going to pick up that last year on his contract in the summer of 2027, because I don't think he'll outplay the contract that he currently has now.
Jake was so bad in the playoffs, Gerald.
He was bad
Uh,
at the all 20 this year. Last
yeah, I know.
First half of the season, he had some moments. He had some real moments that it looked like he was going to be a really good rotation player for us. But
Do we
yeah,
blame John Costa for that? I think he put the mockers on him.
he must have.
And
He must have. But yes, 2026 was not kind to Jake Laravia, and I'll leave it at that. But
no, you're right.
again, these are things what we'll have to evaluate. But yes, the Lakers have to make a decision at some point before the start of the season, in regards to moving off of one player. We'll see if it's Bronny, Connect, Arabia,
Wow.
or someone else.
I mean, look, they get paid a lot, but for some of those players on the edge, it's a brutal existence, the NBA. Sort of knowing that your one contract could just be cut, and then from there, it's kind of an uphill battle sometimes getting back into the league. But I mean, for me, Gerald, if you gave me a choice, it's got to be Bronny. I mean, he's not a. We've always said this about Bronny. Everyone says it about Bronny. He's a nice guy. He's a great kid. We've seen that. He seems like a really nice kid from what we've seen. He's never acted up, and all that. But just purely based on talent, I have to keep Laravia and I have to keep Connect around. I can't sign a 6'1", small shooting guard that honestly you could find a better player in the Australian Basketball League just right now than Bronny James, just right now. And I've said this from the beginning too. He couldn't play in the Australian League and be like a star. And that's what you expect out of any of the bench players in the league. So I think it's sort of the right time to move on from the whole James clan. But at the same time, yeah, it would be really hard to get your head around if they do keep him. But if they do keep him, like I'm saying with these other guys that we've got on the team, I'm just going to back them and hopefully, there's a reason why they've kept him around. But yeah, I don't know, Gerald. That looks. You actually give me a bit of a positive there because I thought we were locked in with him. So hopefully they can cut him and we move forward with these other 15 guys and see what happens. But the NBA offseason, it's a while. Hey, obviously my other great love is soccer, and I've been, uh, with Spain winning the World Cup, it's obviously been an awesome time. But it's a long off season. Soccer's typically a month and a half, 2 months, where this is more 4 or 5 months in the NBA. So see what happens. We'll just keep watching the news cycle. I guess the next thing we do is that mini camp in Slovenia. Hopefully that brings the boys closer together, and then we see them in the preseason games. But yeah, I always default to guys like you and Gerald with your knowledge. Like you're talking about people that have followed the game for 40 or 50 years, and since I've been following your channel for 4 or 5 years, you're rarely wrong, as long as some of us, as much as some of us hate to admit it, when we're thinking the opposite. I know you know ball, so I'll default to you on some of your thoughts. That one that you've worried me today is about Walker Kessler. I did not realize he played 5 games last year. I thought he played. I must have looked at the season before. That worries me. I don't care if you're injured, not injured, tanking. You've got to be playing when you're young, and playing games at the NBA levels. How you improve. You don't improve just in training. So wow, let's just see. I guess there's a reason they paid him that much money. Yeah, hopefully, he just turns it on quickly. Hopefully he's a 15, 18, 20 point a game scorer, 15 rebounds a game straight away. But we'll see with that. Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing Luka Doncic though again in a Laker uniform. I think we've been spoiled at times since he's come to us. Some of the scoring streak he went on last year was just that was magic, Gerald. Like I know he shoots a lot, but when you're able to score 40 to 50 points a game, it's really cool. So we'll see. Let's be positive with a bit of intrepidation.
I gotta call it
Let's.
like I see it. I gotta
Yeah,
call
you
it.
always do.
Gotta call it like I see it. I never
Damn
do
it!
anything different. Again, I'm not
Damn it!
Lakers Nation. You got. I mean, if you want flowers and candy,
Trash, Lakers
and
Nation.
where the truth may not always align with what
Man,
exactly reality is, and what they would like to perceive it to be, then Lakers Nation is for you. But that's Trevor
yeah.
Lane for you. So I am different. I just call things like I see it
Do you want
and
the
tell the
truth?
truth. It's right
Yeah.
here. It's sometimes the truth is harsh,
Truth
sometimes the truth
hurts.
is good. And as I said to a commenter on the other day on Lakers latest, who said, "Oh well, all you guys are saying this about the Lakers." And blah, blah, blah. I said, "Well, when I don't think the Lakers are going to be as good as I want them to be, I want to be wrong. And when I think the Lakers are
Yeah.
as good as I want to be, I want them to be right. It's just that
Yes,
simple."
right.
So,
You'd love
so
to
I'm
be wrong in
I,
this instance,
I would love to be
but you're
wrong.
rarely wrong.
I would love to be
Yeah.
wrong, and we'll see from there. But Mark, it's been great chatting with you, catching up with
Yeah.
you,
Thank you
of
so
course,
much.
during the summer months. No worries.
Yeah.
But any last thoughts on the Lakers before we head on out?
Like I said before, let's just try to be positive. As I said, I'm, if I look at it, yeah, we're definitely not a favorite in the West, but with that, like I keep saying, with that little sprinkle of Luca, you just don't know. Luca is a magic player. That's why his nickname's Luca Magic. He's won in Spain at a very young age. He carried a Real Madrid team tragically, even though I go for Barcelona, but Real Madrid to the European Champions League. He won the Spanish league as a young player. He's nearly done it with Dallas. He's carried Slovenia places where they shouldn't have gone. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I'm not worried about Luca. I am worried about AR. But we'll see. I'm gonna be watching AR very closely. He's gonna be in my AR crosshairs, for lack of a better word. And
Again, and
I'd
that
love
has to happen with the kind of contract he is now
it
under.
has to, and you'd just love to even see just a little bit more fitness from him. That's just a sign for me. I'm not saying everyone has to be ripped or anything like that. You look at a Kevin Durant. I mean, he's never been big, but I'd just love to see, just put the golf sticks away for 2 years, bro. You're on $30 million a year. Just shoot hoops. There's plenty of time to play golf, AR. Plenty of time. So let's see. At the same time, we're very harsh on him when he has done some good things for us too. So I'm just going to be positive. That's where I'm coming from. I think we're coming on the third year of JJ as well. For me, I've only really seen improvement in JJ as a coach. I feel like without his best mate there, LeBron, and that sort of restriction of having to play LeBron, and maybe he even becomes a better coach. So let's wait and see, Gerald. I'm always positive, and I look forward to doing early season predictions. I had Spurs. I think I had them very high up. last year because I was pretty high on Victor Wembanyama. I wasn't as high on OKC, and obviously probably if you go back, none of us picked the Knicks. I'm sure to get to the finals
There was
or
a
win it
couple that
all.
picked, I think, in the finals, but nobody picked
Oh,
the Knicks.
really? Okay, yeah, because the East was a little bit open.
Yes.
But at the same time, when you look at a Knicks, Gerald, it does have to give you some sort of heart because they came from nowhere. And yeah, I know they probably have a better mix of players when you look at our squad versus theirs, but we got Luka. Yeah, I know Brunson's a great player, but Luka's Luka. So, and we're the Lakers, man. We're winners. So,
Wait and
I
see if
love the
that remains
Lakers,
to be the
man. Yeah,
case.
just can't wait. And I've been walking. I caught up with my dad yesterday, and he was always asking me about the Lakers. Now, this is a guy that 10 years ago knew nothing about basketball. So even he's looking forward to watching Luca. So let's just see what happens, man. And hopefully we can even, we'll catch up obviously before then. And, I'd love to come on more once we start getting into games again. And obviously we got the Discord channel still going. Hopefully we can catch up on there. But what a shame they, playback shut down. We'll always rue playback going. That was just unheard of what we had there. But we'll catch up more and more, Gerald, and we can still do it by Discord and other means. And now we've got to play Halo, which you just downloaded because you thought we were going to play that instead of doing
Uh,
this. But we won't
yeah,
go there.
exactly. So at some point in time, yes, sounds good indeed. But once again, it's Mark, aka Xbox. You can catch him here, and again, all the great stuff that he has been doing for this channel in the past. Hopefully, he can do more in the future as well. So,
Definitely.
Mark, great to have you back. Looking forward to it as the weeks continue. It's still going to be a dry period. Sorry to everyone out there. No NBA coming for anytime soon, but
Damn it.
we try to get you best as we can as far as covering you with what's going on in the world of the NBA, our thoughts on the Lakers, and more. As always, right here on the Lakers Fast Break, and as we provide you the best in NBA observations.